The fourth cable cross in this fabric is incorrect, but it isn't too late to fix it. The first thing that you need to do is examine the fabric and see if you can locate the exact row where the cables were crossed. And then once you've found that row, all you need to do is clip the thread and we can begin unraveling and fixing the mistake. I usually use the tip of a hand knitting needle or a sewing needle to carefully and slowly pick out the few stitches that are holding the cable cross in place. And you want to do this gently without putting too much pull or tug on the fabric. We don't want to start unraveling any more than we need to here. And because this fabric was blocked before I handled it, you'll notice that the stitches aren't in any hurry to go anywhere. Once you've picked out the 3 stitches that cross the cable, you want to do your best to secure each of those stitches, and I usually just poke through a toothpick or a small wooden cable needle or double-pointed needle to put the stitches onto. And don't worry if you twist them a little bit at this point. It's more important just to secure the stitches. We can fix any twisting later when we start to rejoin the stitches. Now we've got both stitches accounted for. There's a short end there that might be in the way a bit, but we'll take care of that after. First, poke each of the stitch holders or cable needles through to the back side of the fabric. Make sure you don't lose any of the stitches along the way. And if you do, just push them right back onto the stitch holder, like that. Now when you look at the fabric, you can't even tell that there was a mistake, but we have ends that need to be fixed, and we're going to do all of that repair work on the back of the fabric. You can try to straighten out some of the twisted stitches now, or I usually just reposition the way I enter my needle as I graft the 2 sets of stitches together with a new piece of yarn. And although the little wooden needles may get in your way a bit while you're working, I try to keep them intact as long as I can so that I don't risk unraveling any extra stitches. You're going to sew back and forth. All of the books show grafting up close and personal, so if you're not quite getting it from this imagery here, you could check things like the Vogue hand knitting book, or a number of the machine knit publications also show grafting. You're using this strand of yarn to literally duplicate a short row of actual stitches. Make sure each stitch is caught twice, back in the old stitch right there, and then out through the new stitch. The last stitch on the lower needle there, and then back up through the stitch at the top to complete that stitch. Looks pretty good. Just to be sure, you may need to do some retensioning or adjusting on the size of the stitches on the back of the fabric so that they don't pull. Now you need to deal with the little tails that were left from before. And the easiest way to do this is to make them longer so that they're long enough to finish off on the back side of the fabric. And that means unraveling a few more stitches at a time, only 1 or 2 at a time so you don't lose control of this. And use the new yarn to stitch in that little curly end can get in the way, so I sometimes use a piece of masking tape to hold it while I'm working. Remember, you'll need to do this at the other side of the cable as well to deal with the other cut end from the beginning. And then all of the ends, all 4 of them, need to be finished off on the back of the fabric. When the fabric has been steamed or washed and blocked, you won't even notice the repair.